Good evening on another Tuesday night. It's hard to believe Kevin and Catherine and I have been doing this into our fourth year, and we're still doing it for I don't know why. We don't make any money with it. Whatever. Um, but we enjoy it. We enjoy the subject. Really enjoy meeting people like you guys. And the more I've gotten to know you, you're some of my favorite people now. Anybody that can talk to trees like you do has got. In fact, I got some trees in my backyard you need to have a conversation with.
Well, you actually should go out there and say, hey, let me know you hear me.
Well,
and let it go
you
right across your face.
Celeste, you don't know me very well. When I go out there and try to talk to a tree, a bolt of lightning comes down. But anyway, we like to laugh. We take these subjects seriously, but we're light-hearted people, so don't think that we're mocking anything or anything like that. We just enjoy laughing.
What do we?
Celeste and Don of Team Peak were with us last week. And when they got to the most interesting part of their story, they got lost in some kind of a portal.
Vortex.
The Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they don't advocate a hell. They call it the outer darkness instead of hell. And so that's what I thought of. I thought y'all went into the outer darkness last week. I don't know, but it's good to see that you survived it and you're okay.
We always find our way back to the light.
There you go. So that last week, and we're going to talk about Bigfoot's cryptids. They find themselves, they said, over in West Tennessee, in some swampland and those kind of areas. And I got some questions about Dogman and Bigfoot and whatnot that I'm going to ask. But before we get into that, last week they were telling the story to where Don is a magician. He did a vanishing act that they hadn't figured out yet. He don't even know how he did it. But David Blaine is going to be out of business once Don gets up there and starts doing his act. So they did. They were at, I guess it was your son, Celeste?
Yes.
That wanted to go, like a lot of people do. They go and I don't even know if it's investigate. They just like to go to abandoned buildings and that sort of thing.
I think it's kind of the new thing for kids.
Yeah.
They want to run through these abandoned buildings, and I wasn't going to let them do it alone.
So Don and Celeste went with him, and Don did the disappearing act. If y'all could kind of start and kind of repeat that in brevity and then go into the rest of the story, that'd be nice.
I'll let you do the brevity.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we knew about this abandoned building, been abandoned for a while, and so we decided to go there, and we got up to the door, and I looked in there, and I just had surgery and everything. I could tell that there was going to probably be a lot of stooping and maybe trying to climb over things and things like that in there. So I opted out of going in there with them. I just told them I'd stay out there by the doorway and just wait for them to come out. So a few minutes went by. They went on into the building. A few minutes went by, and I called in there and asked if everything was all right, and they said, yeah, everything's fine. And but they were going to be back out in a couple of minutes, and so I said, okay. So I went. I left the doorway there, and I went up to her car, and just stood there and waited for them. And I waited for a few minutes, and they didn't come out. And I was just getting ready to go back down there and ask them again when they was going to come out, because I thought, well, maybe they had found something that might have interested them or something. And but before I could do that, they come around to the other side of the building. They, from around the far side of the building there. So I thought, well, they must have went through the building and found another way to get out. And then her son yelled over to me, and they commenced to tell me, where, to inquire where I'd been at. And I said, well, I've been up there by the car. And they said, no, you wouldn't. I said, well, yeah, I was. I said, I was up there by the car, and they said, well, we've been yelling for you, and what have you. We didn't see anywhere up there, and then they said that they had commenced to go around the building to see where I was at, and all that sort of business. But I had not seen them or heard them or anything. And then they went ahead and started telling me about how they were calling for me and worried about me and looking for me and all that. But I had not left the car, and I was in full view of the door. And like when they came out, they should have seen me, and but they didn't see me. I didn't see them come out. And they asked me if I was worried or anything like that, and I didn't have anything to be worried about. I didn't know anything was wrong, and but I could tell that they were pretty shook up. Well, by the time they started talking to me and telling me what happened, I started getting shook up. It's like, because I didn't know anything that had gone wrong. So it made me kind of wonder what happened.
So basically what happened is we went into a building, we came out the building, Don was gone. We looked for Don was nowhere to be seen. Went around the building, came back out, all of a sudden Don's there again. I had called him. My phone shows that I called him, but his phone shows no missed call from me. So he disappeared, or we disappeared, for about 8 to 10 minutes.
So the setting is an abandoned building. Is it huge? In other words, if you're outside the back of the building and you used a louder voice in the setting you were in, would just a louder voice be heard throughout that whole area? Or was there any ambient noise that would have prevented your voice from traveling?
No. And that's what I told Don. What struck me in those minutes was the quietness.
So you weren't near a freeway or a waterfall or?
No, it was a nice day out. A beautiful sunny day. And I heard them yelling for me on the other side of the building just fine. When they came around. Yeah, when they come around the building.
When you returned?
When one of us returned.
Whoever returned. Yeah.
But, he would have seen me because I approached the car. My son approached the car. We hollered for him. He would have seen the car lights go on and off because it hit the car key fob.
And was this in the daytime?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Most of our experiences are in the daytime.
Yeah, we don't do a whole lot in the dark.
How far was your car from the building?
Not very far. 35, 40 feet.
If that.
Yeah, not very far away at all.
So it's like it'd be kind of like at your next door neighbor's driveway.
Yeah.
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 So there would, if I walked out and somebody's next door and they're sitting in their car, I could recognize them sitting in their car in the daylight.
And we even tested that. My son had him get in the car to see if we could see him from where we were, and we could, but he didn't have the keys to get in the car.
You had the keys with you. Did you lock the car?
I do not recall. Well, I did when I hit the key fob.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have made any difference, really. Yeah. So Don, interject a thought here. So you just had surgery.
Yeah. So
how are you doing? I wanted to ask how you're doing.
Oh, I'm doing a whole lot better. I had 2 hernias, and I had a lot of I had my abdomen on the right side. I had a lot of muscle damage, what have you. I've had a very active life. And I've done a little bit of that.
Is
Well,
is that what we're calling it?
yeah.
I,
Well, I was compared to bodybuilder, I was also a bodyguard. I was a kickboxer,
you
boxer.
were the bouncer at the biker bar.
Yeah.
You were the
Like
Right.
warehouse.
Well, I've done a little bit of everything like that. I headed up security at some of the biggest nightclubs on the East Coast. Bodyguard. I was a security contractor, protected, people, various government facilities, military trains, things like that.
So now you got this cute little woman that protects you by talking. She does. She tells what?
My beautiful assistant.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I never did ask how you were coming along after all that. So did you stay around the front of this abandoned building the whole time? You didn't walk out of the front area and walk around the back, or you just?
I was right. What I did, I went right. I went up to the vehicle and basically just waited for them because I thought they was coming right out, and I just stayed there in front of the vehicle, but I was after a few minutes, I thought, well, they are taking a little bit of time. So I thought, well, they must have found something of interest. And I started I'm just getting ready to head back down towards the door when, when they had come around to the side there and what have you. Like I said, about 8 or 9, 10 minutes had gone by.
Yeah.
You guys are explorers, okay? You are out in the wild. You're into places that regular people usually don't go.
Probably because they shouldn't.
Yeah, probably shouldn't go. Clearly, Don went places. He don't even know where he went.
Never left the farm.
He got high without leaving the farm. Huh? Took a trip. So, with all the experience you've got, you've given a little bit of your bio. You guys, and even Celeste has got years and years and years out hunting for Bigfoot and that sort of thing. There's absolutely no reason that you could find that you couldn't have heard them and they couldn't have seen you under normal conditions.
Right.
No, I mean, and like I said, I can be pretty loud when I need to be. And I was really kind of panicking for a few seconds there.
And Don didn't have a clue of anything. He just kind of.
I didn't know anything was going on. I thought everything was okay. I don't know. That's just with that right there. Kind of scares me a little bit because I had no clue that anything was going on at all. Anything out of the ordinary.
Clearly, after that experience, her talking to a tree was nothing.
Oh, he's used to stuff like that.
I'm used to things like that.
Oh, so do you have any theories? I'm sure y'all have spent a lot of night talking about this.
We have talked about this and talked about it. It's like I told her, I said it's like a Rubik's Cube that you never solve or something. It's just the only thing that I could think of is maybe a parallel universe, maybe, or something where everything looks the same, nothing changes except you obviously people will miss you. You're gone, but everything, their surroundings look the same. I mean,
you didn't even know you were missing.
I didn't know I was missing. No.
The thing is, what gets me is he didn't see the car lights come on and off or anything like that.
There was nothing like
that.
that.
So wherever he was, the car did not react.
But the car was there in my world.
And the car was in my world.
Let me tell you a story that happened to me outside of Nashville, Tennessee, a bunch of years ago. It's going back a couple of decades anyway. Earlier in life, I'd had this relationship with this woman. Her name was, can't remember her name now.
Pam.
Pam. She knows.
She remembers.
She knows more about me than I know. So, so Pam and I that split up. She had gone to the Carolinas and married an old high school sweetheart. I never kept up with her. We had no reason to keep up with each other. and I had a business in Nashville, stayed in Nashville, had the same office number for years and years and years, ended in 0808, easy number to remember. Anyway, hadn't seen her and hadn't thought about her, had no reason, had no way of getting a hold of her. So I home officed and needed to go. I went to the Walmart to get some ink for our printer. It was around lunchtime, bright sunshiny day. And it was only like, about 10, 15 minutes from my house tops. So I get in there, I get my, whatever I went for, ink or whatever. And as I'm leaving the store out into the parking lot, there's a woman coming from the parking lot headed toward the store. Identical to Pam. Pam was of German descent, and her family had this interesting ear thing going on. And it was just a little bend in the ear. It wasn't gross, but it was just identifying mark, like a birthmark, if you will.
Something you'd know, yeah.
Yeah. In other words, but it was Pam. And it triggered me, and I tried to get her attention, and she disappeared. Went in the store. I got in my car, and my first thought was, we all have doubles. I got something else on my mind. I forgot about it. I get home to my office, which was upstairs, sit down at my desk. My office phone rings. It wasn't my cell phone. It was my office phone. And I answer it. And she says, Kelsey, this is Pam. And I said, I thought I saw you today. She said, what were you doing in the Carolinas? At the courthouse. I'm sitting there. I said, I saw you at the Walmart in Nashville. She wouldn't talk about it anymore. That was the end of conversation. She didn't want to discuss it. It freaked her out so much she didn't want to bring it. She just didn't want to deal with it.
Well, yeah, we've been dealing with that since this happened. I've been having, very uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah, well, when Don brought this up and he mentioned parallel universe, see, that experience made me delve into parallel universes and that kind of thing, because I didn't have any way to call her. And I certainly didn't have time, even if I wanted to investigate how to find a number for her.
Right.
And by the time I get back to the office, she's calling me and had seen me at the courthouse where she worked in the Carolinas. Now, Don, tell me what happened, since you're the traveling man.
Nothing happened to him.
Nothing happened to me. I mean,
until I started yelling at him.
I just stood out there by the car. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. There I was, just didn't have any idea anything was going on.
Well, I know, my point is, I know how you feel when something like that happens to you. It's like, wow. And that's been 25 years ago, something like that. And it's still fresh, and I still ponder on it. And it's spooky. She never would discuss it. As soon as I said what I said, it was almost like, well, I'm glad you're okay. Bye. Oh. Really? There's no more conversation. She didn't want to talk about it. I think it scared the hell out of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is kind of, it's, to me, it's I don't know. I don't, I can't control it. It's like, it's something that happened that, I didn't have any defense from it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what scares me more than anything. Is I'm a very protective, defensive type of person, because basically with my personality, my career choice, and just different things. And I was totally unaware that anything was going on. I think that's what really, really scares me about that.
You had no reason to be scared until her and her son said, "Hey, Don, something's not right."
Right.
And then you started that, yeah.
Oh, I know her. I know she don't lie, and I've known her for quite a while. Know that, and the thing is that really gets to me, knowing that I had no defense. I didn't even know what to defend against. You see what I'm saying?
You didn't know anything. Yeah.
To be able to defend yourself, you have to know what the threat is. And the thing is, it wasn't until after I started thinking about it, I felt like that I was really threatened.
Yeah.
Do you your gut feeling. I know you don't have answers. I get that, and that
Right.
makes it even scarier, right?
Right.
When you can't define something, but you know it happened. All the evidence points that you were somewhere, but you don't know where, and you didn't even know that you were gone.
Right.
Of course, there's always a possibility that you might have been there, and they could have.
Yeah, that's what I told her. You know, they could have been the one that was gone because
You know?
she had had a pain in the head.
Yeah, well, yeah, because while we were inside the building, I got nauseated and had a sharp pain in my head.
Y'all could have walked through some kind of portal or something
Mm-hmm.
and not know it.
Not know
Did
it.
you? Huh?
And not know it. Yeah, they could have done that and not know it.
Well, and
Yeah.
I since have asked my son, I said, well, what would have happened if we hadn't come back or gotten out or whatever? He goes, we would have adapted.
You would have what?
Adapted.
Oh yeah. Well,
You know,
as
he
long
goes,
as Celeste, as long as you could talk to trees, you'd be okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna play that.
everybody should give it a try at least once in their life.
I'm impressed. I'm really genuinely, that tree reached out and touched her, and I know it wasn't fake because I could tell by the way Don reacted.
Oh, he got. And the thing is, like somebody said, wind blowing. Well, yeah, the wind was blowing, but it was blowing at us, so it would have blown the tree away from us.
Before
Yeah,
you
the wind was blowing in our faces. You see.
So
And-
it wouldn't have blown the tree to me.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, it didn't do anything to touch you until you told it it could.
Right.
So it's a
And it kept
combination.
touching her. It was
It
like
was touching my back.
And I told you I stole that clip from your Facebook page. So I'm gonna play it. So everybody can see it. I'm gonna play it real quick, okay? Here
okay.
we go.
We're sitting here in a very rundown abandoned cemetery, and we're under a tree. Now, Don doesn't know this, but what we're going to do is we're going to ask that tree, tell that tree that it's okay to touch us, and see if it does.
I hope it don't. Well, hell, it did. Okay.
He'd rather look at graves than have a tree touch him. Thank you. Look at it. It's doing it again.
Yeah. And stay.
Okay.
Well, you notice how I backed away real quick.
That's what I said. It's like as soon as you recognize what was going on, it's like I'm out of here.
But see, she does. You know, she has. You know, when you, I can't even explain it. You know, but all I can say is, you know, she when I don't know, she's just very in tune with everything, man. I mean, it's just I don't know.
Don is,
It's like she's like a walking, talking. What do you call them? Diving sticks, or what do you call them? Dividing rods.
yeah.
I mean, she just picks up on things, man. I mean, you know, and sometimes it really, I don't know, kind of amazes me and curls my toes.
So Don, you've had a very interesting life. You've not been a couch potato.
No.
Okay, so you've had a lot of experiences before she came along, and you kind of connected. Is it safe for me to suggest that even at this juncture in your life that she came along and your experiences even widened?
Yeah, because she made me aware. You know, she says she's not paranormal, and she tries honestly not to be, but it just I don't know, man. It just follows her around.
I've changed my views of this whole thing, and I think that her and her son walked through a portal, not you.
But she,
because she's got that kind of thing going on already. Okay?
Well, the thing is she, you know, I had been investigating and researching the Bigfoot, and later on the Dog Man. You know, the DPWA team got into, you know, just basically the cryptid world, thunderbirds, and even vampires, and werewolves and such. And
Interview a vampire.
there you go.
She's not even looking at the screen.
And so, I got in, and then I built my team up quite a bit. I got, quite a few team members. A lot of people work with me and been with me throughout their as security operators and what have you. I own several businesses. I used to own a gym and different things, and I was a security contractor. But and a lot of these people work with me, for me, and what have you. And a lot of them are retired law enforcement. A lot of them are retired military or prior law enforcement. And so they're pretty good people, and they're no nonsense people. They're all outdoors people. I got several people that are what you would call, professional outdoors people. They actually make a living from the outdoors, and what have you. So I mean, and then I was impressed with Celeste. She had actually been involved in Bigfoot much longer than me, and ever since she was a child, and we started comparing notes and talking about this and that and everything, and we just decided to team up, and it's worked out really, really good. So I'm happy we're teamed up. Ain't you happy we're teamed up?
It's never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. That's a fact. So I mean, it's just.
I always ask him when we go out, I'm like, "You got your gun?"
I never leave home without it.
Well, that's what life's about. If it's a dull moment, you're not living.
Yeah.
That's right. But we travel everywhere.
You got anything you'd like to ask these people or talk to them about?
I don't even know if we asked this last week, but have you ever investigated the white thing here in Alabama? I think that's sort of in the family of Bigfoot. That's sort of our own.
You ever heard of that one? It's called the white thing.
I hadn't until you brought it up.
You got to understand, we're from Alabama. We don't think of any very interesting names for our stuff.
That white thing.
Okay, you
That white thing running through the woods.
y'all talking about a white Bigfoot?
It's a cryptid for sure, but I think it's, in my opinion, from the images, drawings people have made, I think more of Dogman than I do Bigfoot.
Dogman, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was a white Bigfoot. I haven't seen it though. So.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it either, but that's a thing in Alabama, the white thing. I mean, so that's the way we handle things. We see something and they say, well, it's white and it's a thing. So
It's that white thing over yonder.
Well, we have white Bigfoot in Kentucky. And
oh, really? Are they
yeah.
albino? Do you think they're albino, or they may be related to what's the one over in Asia, the white Bigfoot?
Albino snowman or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know, but along the Green River in Kentucky, Green River runs about 680 some odd miles, I think. East to west, it runs in the Ohio River up there, Owensboro, Davis County, Henderson County. But anyway, there are white Bigfoot along that travel corridor. And matter of fact, there's probably along that travel corridor, okay, there's probably more Bigfoot per square mile than any place that I have ever researched.
In Kentucky?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I've been in Indiana, Ohio, just been all over the place, Illinois, Tennessee, Georgia, North, South Carolina, West Virginia, all that. But the thing is, though, is that I call it the Green River travel corridor, and there's just it's just incredible. And there's so many caves along in that area. And a lot of the caves, probably most of the caves, are on private property along the river. And it's just, I think there's a correlation between the Bigfoot in along that travel corridor, then and the cave system
Mm-hmm.
than a lot of people realize, and it's just it's just amazing how many Bigfoot uh, uh, are using that area. But there is
Catherine,
The white thing is more like a dog, a big
a
huge
dog man.
Yeah, and it stands up on its back legs, and it's got fangs, and it's huge.
Okay, I've taken several pictures of dog man. Um,
We were talking about that today about the dire wolf.
the what wolf?
The
dire
dire
wolf.
wolf.
The dire wolf,
It's supposed to be extinct.
yeah.
Yeah, but they're extremely large.
Well,
I mean, I
there's
would-
a. Go ahead.
I
I'm
have
sorry.
a giant German Shepherd, and I was looking at him. I'm like, and that dire wolf's probably twice the size of him.
Oh, bigger, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
things are coming back that have been extinct that people thought were extinct. They're coming back.
Yeah.
So I don't guarantee that everything's extinct, and it could possibly be some type of wolf.
Yeah.
And things aren't extinct just because mankind can't find them.
Right.
Look at the Tasmanian tiger.
Mhm.
I mean, there's sightings of it. The past several years, it's showed up on trail cams and whatnot, but people insist it's extinct. The license.
So you mentioned where do vampires come into play? You mentioned that earlier, Don. Where's that fall?
Well, we got into vampires now. Now Celeste, she don't get into those. She don't research those. And but the team got into vampires several years ago. And the funny thing is started interviewing people who were coroners, what have you, people that dealt with the cause of death type things, and found out that there may be vampires. And
Have you? I'm going to interrupt you for a second, but all these interesting things you've got going on, and then you say that she's not interested in investigating vampires. So I've got to ask: have you ever actually checked to see if you can see her reflection in a mirror?
Oh yeah, I can see her. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Don, I just want you to be safe. Okay.
Okay. But she the thing is about Celeste is she draws a lot of things that she don't want drawn, and so she don't she does her very best to stay away from the paranormal. I'm different. Yeah,
he's just like throws it apart. He opens the doors and lets come on in.
Yeah.
So what? Celeste? She just vanished. Okay.
No.
So Celeste, what prevents you or scares you or makes you refrain from getting involved in some of these subjects that Don is otherwise saying, "Hey, let's go"?
Well, I have a history dealing with these things, but also several years ago I went into an in-depth study of the Bible, and I don't want to participate in anything that's pagan or has its background in those type of areas. So that's my choice.
So no, absolutely. I'm not picking. I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I know, but
No criticism whatsoever.
And I like I said, I have a history of I don't know what you call it, occult.
Okay,
So,
I understand. Somewhere in your background, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't bother you that Don is wide open to it.
No, I'd rather he obviously he not be, but he is, and so that's his. Like what we were. The tree was in the cemetery.
Yeah.
He went to the cemetery hoping to experience something. And, I went to a cemetery hoping he doesn't experience something.
So, so
So what does she do? She gets a
Yeah.
tree hugger.
Hey!
see, she can say what she wants.
Deflect. I'm deflecting.
I think she is the paranormal person.
What, just give you an example. I got into the dog man, and I verified the dog man existed. For myself and other team members, because we really wasn't sure to ourselves. Like we heard a lot of things about the dog man and all this, and because of the experience that we've had with the Bigfoot and the different things, and so we just decided we're not gonna pay attention to whatever's written in the book about the dog man or on video or on documentaries. We're gonna just see what we can find out ourselves. Okay. So for about 4.5 years, we tried. Finally, me, myself, and some team members finally discovered that there were dogmen. So, and we took some pictures of dogmen. I've taken some pictures of dogmen and posted them and what have you. And one picture is we was in a dogman area, and looks like one, possibly two, that's looking at me across from a creek.
Well, we have an interesting picture. What was it, last spring? We went. There was like where 3 falls came down, and he was taking a picture of the ridge line, and I was taking a video of the falls and the ridge line, and he has something that looks like canines that showed up in his photos, and they're not in my videos.
And you're there standing next
to each other. So this parallel thing has been happening for a little while, I think.
Well, see, the thing is too, is like when you get into the dog man, then a lot of people wondering if the dog man and werewolf's the same. So that led me into the werewolf phenomenon, and then I got involved with some people out in California and Utah and Ohio. And I talked to a fellow who was a retired police officer out in California, who headed up security at a secret society north of San Francisco, and talked to him several times over the phone, and we talked in person several times. I haven't been able to get back with this guy. I don't know what happened to him, but that guy, he had some interesting stories, and he had some pictures of what the inside of this secret society looked like. And I had heard about this organization for years, and especially doing what I did in my career. And he had pictures where you had to be inside to see, to get these pictures, And then I got in touch with another person from Utah and out of Provo, Utah. And then I got in touch with several other people out of Ohio who lived in a neighborhood that supposedly had all kinds of werewolf activity. So, I mean, I don't know, one thing leads to another, and then another, and then another, and what have you. And so it's just very interesting how, a lot of these things, I believe that a lot of people think that are myths. For instance, I have got a theory about vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've been studying them for quite some time, and I believe that some of the people that might be missing in the wilderness might be vampires, maybe, perhaps. And the reason why I believe, a lot of, during like in Europe, a lot of people were, killing vampires. And I believe that when they came over here, they developed a totally different method of doing things. They didn't hang around the cities as much. But that's my theory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
Now I gotta worry about vampires.
What about zombies?
I haven't
no.
got into zombies.
Now, Celeste, you you've dug into the Bible.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like me to share some paranormal and zombie stories for you from the Bible?
Oh, yeah. We've talked about that. We've actually talked about portals that were in the Bible.
Yeah. Um, aliens. Okay. And there's all kind of interesting stuff. In fact, you know, when at the execution of Jesus, it says the saints came up out of the grave and walked the streets of Jerusalem. You familiar with that?
Well, yeah, but that's what happens when you have an earthquake.
Yeah, but generally, if in we like y'all would go to those cemeteries and there's an earthquake, those bodies that come up out of the earthquake generally are not going to be walking the streets.
That's true.
So that wasn't the picture it painted, Celeste. I'm sorry.
Let me live in my own little world.
But I got a suggestion since
Well, it's like Jacob's ladder, I mean, the angels coming up and down. That was a portal.
yeah. So, but since you're concerned about Don here and some of the things he's involved in, I actually keep gallons and gallons of this here if you need some.
I don't need holy water.
I'm messing.
I know.
Yeah. But now, Don, if
I just look at it and run.
take away everything that anybody's ever told you about Bigfoot, about Dogman, take away anything you've heard. You're just out here and you're just going through nature and you see something. If you saw what they call the Dogman, would you have called it the Dogman?
Yeah. I can most certainly understand why. The thing is, when I first seen a dog man, a lot of people, they claim that the dog man is a murderous beast and all this sort of business. And, I haven't seen anything like that. I mean, to me, they have
Seem to be shy.
they're very shy, and they're not
Bigfoot's
confrontational whatsoever.
Isn't Bigfoot shy as well?
Well, except for cookies.
So you said that, but was there a particular kind of cookie that Bigfoot likes?
It was all I know. What was in the bin was chocolate chip cookies and peanut butter.
I was going to say vanilla wafers would probably be the best.
Well, Don, I think it was mad because Don was eating all the peanut butter cookies.
Well, now I've heard of somebody putting M&Ms out, making a trail of M&Ms.
The M&Ms would never make it down to the ground. I'd be down there.
Especially the peanut M&Ms.
Yeah. I don't share my M&Ms. I don't share my chocolate.
Doctor, you said you asked last week about, what we do on if we're going to try to look out or try to find a Bigfoot habitat area, and what we go through. Of course, we research things and we see what we pick up and from other people. People do a lot of talking and then there's newspapers and news things and what have you. But we use Google Earth, we use Topple maps, and like Celeste said last week, they need cover, food, water, things like that. But the most important thing they need is security. That's the most important thing. And so what I do is I try to find where they can get and see in most national forests, state forests, what have you, any forested areas, all these things are there mostly. You see what I'm saying? But you got to find places that they feel secure and they are going to be secure at. And that's usually the most difficult areas to get into.
Are you aware of or have you heard of any cases of Bigfoot harming anybody?
No, we've been kind of run out of an area though.
Well, Well, your chair
You've been
got
run.
thrown.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you've been
my
running.
chair got thrown around. I mean, they get upset.
Okay, but you didn't physically get attacked.
No.
Just something in your environment happened.
Well, I've had rocks thrown at me,
When we have Ari,
trees or not trees,
when
big
we
branches.
when we have Ari, my German Shepherd, we've actually stopped bringing him because we'll have rocks thrown at him,
Yeah.
and he knows when the rocks are coming. It's almost like he can hear it. He'll be sniffing something and he'll back up, and the rock will hit, right where he is. So
Yeah.
they don't like canine, they don't like dogs.
Yeah, they have a very negative, they have very negative reaction to.
And it's a shame because Ari led us to a couple of structures. So, but I just don't want him to get hurt. And and I want whatever we're hunting or looking for to feel comfortable, with us in the woods with them. And if I bring something,
Yeah. When you look at these cryptids, and we'll just talk Dogman and Bigfoot,
Mm-hmm.
besides they're physically different, on every level outside of their physical, are they similar in the way they conduct their lives, the way they live out here? Are they prone to be in the same types of environment as the others?
it seems like they are sometimes.
Yeah,
they overlap.
they overlap. Yeah. Now, not every Bigfoot area is a Dogman area. Okay.
Wow.
But they do overlap. They sometimes they do inhabit the same area.
Well, they need the same things.
Yeah.
And
So, I've heard that Bigfoot is kind of like the gorilla family, that they are family units.
I definitely think they're family units. We've had young ones come in. We've had the
Yeah.
mamas bring the babies into our campsite before. We've had little tracks. And
We've actually seen where the mother Bigfoot and the baby Bigfoot would be walking together, and where you could see where the mother's probably picked up the little baby.
So what about Dogman? Are they similar? I've never heard Dogman presented in that same fashion as I have Bigfoot.
Seen Dogman anywhere from 3 foot to about 7 foot.
Well, I'm talking about the family unit.
I don't know, but I don't know that much as he knows about Dogman. I have Dogman tracks that I found that actually, before we started working together, I presented to him, and he said those are Dogman.
Yeah.
I've heard of a lot of cases where Bigfoots are spotted, and it's like there's the parent and there's the kids in a family unit. But I've never heard anything presented that way as far as the Dogman's concerned.
I don't think people. I think people know a lot less about the Dogman than they know about Bigfoot. Give you an example. For years and years, and everybody tells you, the Dogman is this vicious, murdering, canine beast and all this sort of business. I think the more and more and more I think about it, and the more that I've been around the Dogman, and Celeste has been with me in some, in places where the Dogman, we've never been attacked. They're not aggressive at all. I think a lot of that was to sell books and videos, and just, I think it's just like most things in the cryptid world, a lot of nonsense.
Right. Well, when it's made for TV, they got to have advertising dollars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's always going to be not presented accurately. Does the Dogman have a snout?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Dogman is very, wolf-like.
Okay.
So
they can go. The Dogman can go on all fours or stand on its hind legs.
Right. And I think they spend a lot. Of course, they to elude us, I tell you, to evade us, they'll go on all fours. just to bury themselves into the forest, in the undergrowth, things like that. And really the only time I've seen them stand up is when they're trying to get a better look at us or me or whatever, And but I've never ever had any type of aggression, any type of anything that would think that, I posted on my page, I'm more afraid of a neighbor's ill-tempered Rottweiler in the yard than I am a dog man or a bear. I'm more afraid of a black bear I run into.
I'm more afraid of my 87-year-old lady next door.
But I mean, it's just
people.
What'd you say?
I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
I'm more afraid of people. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's basically, I carry a gun all the time, and it's mostly for people, you run into on the trail because you really run into some weirdos.
Now, Bigfoot has some human-like qualities, like the appendages. They might not be exact, but they still can. They've got hands with fingers, you could say, right?
Yeah.
So they can pluck an apple or whatever.
Last week you posted that picture of what was in my backyard, and on that picture you can clearly see the hand.
The arm.
The arm and the hand, and looks like a human hand.
So if you related the Bigfoot to any species out there, you'd have to go kind of in the ape family.
Well, I'd go more of indigenous. They're not ape.
No, I'm not saying they are ape. I'm just saying kind of in that family because we're apes.
They look human. They look human, just covered in hair.
They do. I mean, they're just it's just incredible. I think one of the reasons why, like when I started asking people back 19 years ago about Bigfoot, because I didn't see a big silverback gorilla thing. Okay, then it had to be something else. And just like, people ask me about DNA. I used to collect DNA all the time. Let me tell you something. I don't even bother with DNA anymore. Okay. Because I've seen them. I know what they look like. The Bigfoot establishment will not accept anything else except some kind of monkey type DNA. Everything that comes back. Okay. It's they always say it's tainted. It was the DNA was what do you call it? Like I say, like it was compromised. Anybody who's ever been at a crime scene, okay, the DNA at a crime scene is always compromised. I mean, come on, let's get off this ridiculous nonsense. It's just.
And if you've seen their tracks, they look human.
Yeah.
They're not ape tracks by any means, and they're.
If you ever seen them walk.
Yeah, they're straight
but
up.
Their gait is not identical to a human, but
they're long gaits, and they do have long arms. But a lot of times they're up in the trees, especially the young ones. We were on a trail, just on a lark. We picked this trail. We got out of the truck, and there's a ravine down one side. And I stop and I listen, and I'm like, something's snoring in the trees. and we both stopped and listened, and he's like, that is snoring. And it was up a tree. Whatever was snoring was up a tree over in the ravine.
Yeah, we were
it was snoring.
Walking along a trail on a ridge, and it was almost parallel with us.
Because the trees were so tall.
Yeah. And you could actually hear snoring. And but it just
we must have woke it up.
Yeah.
Because you hear, and then it was silent.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys don't do the conventions. You're not doing speaking engagements. You're not writing books. You're not doing reality TV.
Well, we may write a book.
Well, I understand you got.
We may write a book down the road. I have hundreds of pictures that I've never posted and that people's never seen.
So where I'm leading with this is you're now, and throughout your lives, you've had to have jobs or whatever. You maybe have reached a point in your life where you don't have to have a regular job. You can devote all your time to this project. But you've been highly motivated for years on this subject. You're not doing it for fame and fortune. What is your chief motivation in doing this?
I want to know exactly what they are, where they came from, why they're here. The thing is that, I've developed my own theories. I believe that they are a type of giant, possibly a primitive human. Okay. And, just because I've actually seen one up, how many people have actually seen one up close like I have? I'm probably one of the few people in this country, okay, that actually saw a Bigfoot in broad daylight, okay, within about 30 feet from me, okay? I know that it's not an ape. When somebody comes up to me and says, well, I seen a Bigfoot and it looked like a big ape and blah, blah, I could see how they could say that if it was walking away from them. But there's no way if they seen one up close, face to face.
Oops, hold on.
No offense to Jesus or to Christianity in general, but I've always said there's more eyewitness proof that Bigfoot exists than Jesus.
Huh?
Well,
I'm
saying I'm not knocking anything, but if you talk to enough people, if you filtered out, say, a certain percentage is just lying and making up stuff, and maybe there's some meth addicts that thought they saw something. The numbers of people making these claims, there's got to be a certain percentage that is they're not making this stuff up, just like you guys, So my point being is there's that alone gives a lot of credence to the fact that something's out there.
Well, for years I had what I called the polygraph challenge. Okay. And for several years, I said, if anybody doubts anything that I say, we'll have a polygraph challenge as long as they take a polygraph test too. Okay. And it's oddly enough, I didn't have any takers. Okay. Yeah. And because I was what I was going to do, I was just, okay, everything that I post, everything that I say, okay, is true. All right.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't make any money off. None of us make any money off this. As a matter of fact, it costs us a lot of money. So I mean, and I may bring that back. But
bring that back. Wait, okay.
Bring the polygraph challenge back.
Okay, yeah.
But you have so many frauds out there, and these people are making the mint. They're going to the bank. They're fleecing these people, and I know I have run into so many of these people face to face, and me and her talk about it every once in a while, and it's just it's really pathetic. It really is. And
I wasn't really focused on Bigfoot so much until about 2018, and there was an event happened, and Catherine and I put together a Bigfoot paranormal. We called it a convention, and it wasn't like these festivals these people do. We actually had a lineup of speakers from 9 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. And see, y'all got paranormal stuff happening in your house. I'm sorry.
That was a cat.
It's Tigger.
Oh, okay. You never know.
A creepy doll.
Yeah, no, it's just Tigger.
Don, you're safe. I don't see any trees around there.
I don't understand what he's doing.
I don't know.
Tigger, come here. What is that?
What's that?
So I never knew. I never tuned into it. I kind of knew it was there, but I just didn't focus on it.
Right.
What I learned from doing that, because I didn't do this thing that we've never done that thing before, and we just saw an opportunity and got people together, and they did presentations all day. You had people who've been Bigfoot and whatnot. I didn't, there were a few vendors there, but it's mostly just one speaker right after another. Okay, and they put on presentations. You take a lunch break. So the point is, you get to know at a certain level some of these people, and a lot of them are what I call divas. You know what I'm saying? I think.
Well, they want
And
their 10 minutes of fame on TV. That's for sure. There's a few of them in Kentucky.
well, we had one guy that I liked, but his temperament was horrible because he just wanted to be the rock star.
Right.
It's like, hey, there's 10 other people here, and you're all sharing equal opportunity, but none of you all are equal. Not putting one above the other. Oh, I thought I was the keynote speaker. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, no, I was never presented that way. And
So
but my
the only way I thought about doing those type of shows is if you have a panel, and you are mutual admirers of each other. You know what I mean? That you, but there is such a, because of what we do and what we say, a lot of times we get blacklisted. They don't agree with the fact that Don and I think they're more human looking than ape looking. And what do we know? Why? Because it's different than you. How many different tribes of humans have there been walking the earth? Look at the difference between human. Look at the Denisovan. My sisters did our DNA, with the ancestry, all that stuff. And we have Denisovan DNA in our system. Well, that's considered a Neanderthal. So who's to say what different types of human species have been walking the earth?
we I went to university. I've got a degree, blah blah blah. And people will sometimes, and I've been a nerd. I've read a lot of books. I like Don. I'm curious. I want answers, and I end up with more questions than I find answers, because each thing that I learn leads me to more questions. And so I accept the fact that we don't know a whole lot. We're arrogant species, but I don't think we're the smartest species.
Well, the more you find out, the more you realize you don't know.
That's it.
And
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
See, I would love to be the Jane Goodall of Bigfoots.
Oh yeah. Go live with them and learn all about them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talk to the trees.
So do y'all think that TV has kind of adulterated the community of Bigfoot to where everybody's confused and it's just really gotten to be a mess?
I think this, okay. I think a lot of these people are just trying to get a piece of what I call the Bigfoot money pie.
Right.
And whether it's through commercialization. Now, I don't have anything against Bigfoot clothing, and I got Bigfoot T-shirts. I got all kinds of stuff Bigfoot. Okay. But I mean, but I think a lot of people have just got lost in the commercialization. I think there's another group of people that they failed in life at a lot of things. They haven't succeeded. But I think that they looked upon the Bigfoot world as, hey, this is something that I can succeed at and I can make some money on.
Well, it's like a few other things in life. If you can be a Bigfoot expert, okay?
Yeah.
And the reality is there's no governing board. You don't have to take a test to get a degree in it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so all you got to do is say, look, I've got a mold of a foot and I had this over here, and and then you can become part of the Bigfoot rock stars.
You'd be surprised how many people I upset when I said that we don't accept every structure that we see as positive as Bigfoot. If we don't find other corroborating evidence, such as Bigfoot track lines, things like that. Man, I got more people. They got so upset I'm like, look, I'm not saying everybody has to do what we do. They can do whatever they want to do. You know, that is our litmus test. That is what we do. It works for us, you know. And, I was going to have uh, kind of like like a Bigfoot camp out, you know, and people were upset because I wasn't going to have any vendors there, you know. I
If it's
mean,
not about the money, it's not worth having. What you
well, I
say?
mean, you can buy Bigfoot stuff anywhere. I mean, let's talk about Bigfoot for Pete's sake. You
Oh,
know,
you,
I
you
mean,
know
it's
what,
like,
Donna, you know what? We drove through Mississippi and other places, and you'll be driving along a road, and off in a field is a full size cutout of Bigfoot.
right?
No, it's everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
Down the street here where I live.
you got Bigfoot over there?
Yeah, there's a neighbor down the road, 69, other side of 39 from me that's got a Bigfoot, one of those big brown Bigfoot cutouts in the woods. It's like it's walking. It's right there at the edge of the woods near the road.
That's what I need. I need one with red blinking eyes.
When when we did that Bigfoot convention, and I did not know, we didn't know what we were doing. We just put something together and threw it out
Right.
there, and we had to turn people away. It sold out. Okay, but we'd gotten on Amazon and ordered a Bigfoot costume. And the son of the venue owners where we had this is a tall guy. So we gave him the suit, said put it on. And these people were paying him $5 and $10 to take a
Oh, my
selfie
goodness.
with him.
I'll put one on.
I mean, they lined up to get a selfie with Bigfoot.
be a little short Bigfoot.
I'll be a little short Bigfoot.
And then as we were promoting it, Catherine put on the Bigfoot suit, and we went down to the beach, Orange Beach. And she ran across the beach in the morning, and
Leave some tracks.
yeah. But anyway, no, I don't. I think, like I said, we're lighthearted. We take this. I'm not denying anybody what they believe in, whatever. And like I said before, there's so many people that are having experiences that even if 70% of them are just full of crap, that still leaves 30%, which is a big
Right.
number of people. And it's like, well, there's got to be something here. I feel the same way about UFOs. Okay. You mean you've got that many people just making stuff up? And come on, I don't believe it. I believe that I certainly, when I talk to people like you, and you're not on a TV show, you're not doing conventions, you hadn't written a book yet. Why are you here promoting yourself?
You know what I tell people? Look,
The truth.
I don't need the money. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but you know what? I've done all right in my life.
Yeah.
I don't need the money. Some of these people will kill for that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? I know because of the line of work that I did for years.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's just, you need somebody. You need somebody like me and other people like me
Well,
who have made it in their careers.
This
that want
is what I
to.
said. Don't you think all this other stuff takes away from the credibility of what you guys are doing? In other words, people watch these shows and they go to these conventions, and by the time, people are not stupid. They go to that and they know we're just having fun, and then comes along somebody like you guys who are not interested in the money, you're just really trying to find some truth, and they still roll their eyes at you because of what everybody else is doing, not because of what you're doing.
Well, and that's why, like sometimes he'll watch the Bigfoot shows and stuff like that. I don't watch them, and I didn't read the books. No, couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but while you're talking to trees, he wants to talk to the dead people in the graves. So
That's true. I talk to the
It
living,
happens.
like the dead, bury the dead. But yeah, it just, I wanted my own answers and find it for myself. And we don't go, and I, told you this, I think last week, is when we go out somewhere, we're not saying we're only going to accept evidence if it's Bigfoot evidence. No, if something presents itself, we document it. Like the deer, the fawn. I don't know if you saw the picture of the fawn.
Did you guys see that?
We posted a picture of a fawn that was literally cut in half. No blood, no entrails. Looked like it'd been cauterized.
No insects.
No insects were on it.
Nothing had been preying on it.
No
Guys,
vulture.
I did not spend a lot of time digging deep into your Facebook or whatever. I just
It's one of the more recent ones. That's why I brought it up. But we didn't know that we were going to find that.
I got to look for that. Yeah, that's interesting.
And so we documented
it. It reminded us of those cattle mutilations that people say.
Well, what's fascinating is your focus is on cryptids.
Mm-hmm.
Is that safe to say? I mean, even you, Celeste, you're not just hooked on Bigfoot. You're interested in any cryptid.
Right.
So as you're out there, what's interesting is you're having, like it or not, Celeste, you're having some paranormal experiences.
Her? I mean, it's a little scary sometimes.
So I got to ask you this. This just popped into my head because of the Blair Witch Project. You remember that movie?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, isn't that based on the Bell Witch?
No, well, it's all fiction. But anyway, when you're out here, do you ever run across anything where you see people or something has had some kind of ritual out there or whatever? It looks like, you know what I'm saying? That you
when
could
I lived in South Carolina, I did.
Okay.
Oh.
Because
I've
guys
seen effigies of people out in the swamp, out in the tidal swamps, and yeah.
So where you are as an individual here, Celeste, do you go into an area? Can you get feelings of what's taking place? Can you just say, "Ooh, I feel something"? Would you call yourself an empath or anything like that?
I am an empath. I will call myself an empath.
So
we were in a battlefield today, and it exhausted me.
Okay, all right. So you're feeling things.
Yeah.
As you go along, is the same feeling something you can get? You can go into an area and say, "I don't see anything, I don't hear anything, but I'm telling you, Bigfoot's here."
Yeah, and you learn to recognize the feelings that you have when you're in certain areas. Like when that picture in my backyard, I opened the door to let my dog out. I look out the window because you've got to pay attention to your surroundings. I look back there and something looked different. So I snapped a picture, and there's something back there, definitely back there. So if you're paying attention to your surroundings, a lot of it's observations. But if I do get feelings, I tell him, and he, another set of eyes, and also he'll start snapping pictures, like the 7 orbs. And see, we don't go into the woods looking for orbs, but he just kind of heard something and turned around and took a picture. And then we look, and there's 7 orbs.
Daylight orbs.
Daylight, and then daylight.
And it's the same area where the deer was found.
Yeah.
Any colored orbs? Or are they always?
Yeah, look at the picture. There's yellow,
like
there's
an orange.
blue. Yeah.
Orb, and then the rest of them were, white. But that was a strange area all the way around. Wasn't it?
You felt unwelcome, but it was very beautiful. But there was a sense of unwelcomeness there.
So
and I thought it was because of the gentleman we saw going in.
Yeah.
And the one that he got past us, and we don't know how he got past us, but because there's only one road, I don't even want to. It's another parallel universe.
It was a weird thing. We run in. Well, we entered this area. There was a fellow there, and kind of an odd fellow, just. But anyway, and then we were doing our thing, and anyway, we seen that guy's truck, and we pulled up over there. Well, he was fishing, and so we just kind of left him alone. So we went ahead and drove down the road a little bit. Well, there's only one road that you can take, and then we were at this one spot. We even did a video there, and then we went ahead and went down the road again. Well, guess who was down at the other end? It was the fella that we had seen at the, at the start. It was a fella that was fishing at the lake, and somehow he got past us, but we never seen drive. We never seen drive past him.
Yeah, guys, I'm connecting these dots, and that's not so foreign to the experience y'all had at the abandoned.
No, we're starting to put things together slowly.
Yeah, so it's like a puzzle, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm sorry, Celeste, but you're a paranormal expert, whether you want to be or not. But no, I mean, I'm hearing that story. It's like, well, that's the same thing that happened to Don and you guys at that abandoned property. Do you feel that?
Here's the question is, has this stuff happened to Don before he started working with me?
No.
What?
There you go.
Wait a minute. Y'all are arguing?
No, it didn't happen. And John started working with her. Yeah.
Okay. So you're in agreement that you never had the experiences until
I was hoping he'd say yes, though. Until
your paranormal partner came along.
Who don't want to be paranormal.
Do you rag her about that a lot? Or?
We have conversations. We definitely have conversations, and a lot of it is me. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Okay, so Celeste, do you have what they call a spirit guide? Do you know what that is? No.
I don't think she needs a guide.
She is the guide. She is the guide.
I've known several what they, self-professed mediums. Okay, and they can't top her.
I don't like hearing it.
Well, I know that, but that's true. That's true.
All right, Catherine and Kevin, y'all quiet.
Yep.
You got anything to add to the mix here?
Since now we're going to argue.
Anytime we have guests, they always put it all on me to ask all these questions.
Oh, you just keep that lip there.
So,
I've always been
do you guys want to, later on, you let me know when you want to hear about part 2.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. That's where we need to go, right there. Okay,
yeah,
everybody.
let's do that.
If you watched the first part of this show and you watched the last show, they have returned from whatever portal they were in. And to update you, last week they left us hanging thinking that Don had disappeared. Now that we've talked for an hour and 20 minutes, I'm convinced that it was Celeste and her son that disappeared and not Don. And then there's been similar experiences with other people that they didn't even know that they were. It was like being on Star Trek. Beam me up, Scotty. Okay. So when they left us last week, they went into a portal before they left, and that kind of ended their part of the show. They could not get back on. It was like, hello. So I was a little bit concerned about them getting on tonight, but they messaged me and said, you hadn't heard the rest of the story. But kind of reminds me of Paul Harvey's old shows, if you remember that. Now, here's the rest of the story. So that's where we are now.
Right.
All right. Well, in the video, as you hear Don say, we haven't learned our lesson.
You haven't learned your lesson.
So we did go back.
I thought you said you didn't want to go back.
I did say that, but I was outnumbered. And
okay, Celeste, we're going to change your moniker, Paranormal Celeste.
No. But if it wasn't my son, I wouldn't have gone back. But since it was my son, and I'm a protective mommy. He's 17. He doesn't need me, but you know, I'm still a mother.
Okay.
And you know, if he wants to do this, I'm not going to let him do it on his own. So, okay, we'll go back. So what we did the second time we went is we drove down to around the bottom, you know, because there's kind of a driveway that goes around, and we did to the bottom part of the driveway and parked down in the shade. He stayed in the car,
I wasn't going there.
rolled the windows down, and he was going to stay on the phone with me the whole time. So we were going to go in the where those graffiti says alone.
Oh,
That we
yes.
did.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was at the bottom of the back door, and so that's where we were going in. So
You have a hard time telling a story.
yes. So my son and I step into the building. Immediately, I lose phone service with Don. I step out of the building and he can see us, but you know, I still want him on the phone with me. And I immediately get this phone service back. And he goes, just put me in your pocket. So I put him in my pocket, the phone in my pocket with him on, and step back into the building, and I lose him again. Cannot keep a signal. So I'm like, okay, we step into the building, we look around, and I kind of look in the little room we're in, and the sign where we just came in says, you know, no exit. And I'm like, that's funny. We just came in this way. You know, trying to make light of it. And kind of to the right of me, it looks like a walk-in freezer. And there's a pillow on the floor in there. Just a nice
There's
nice-
what on the floor?
a pillow
Oh,
on the floor. Nice and fluffed up, nice and clean, just a lone pillow laying there on the floor. And we go out that room, and there's a hallway to the right and a hallway to the left. And there's some rooms off this hallway. So my son's looking to the right, and I look to the left, and I said, well, down here is where, and we actually have something in the picture when I took the picture of down the stairs. We actually have something in the picture. I said, that's where I took the picture, facing downstairs. Do you want to go over here? And we're walking down the hallway, and my son says, I think we need to leave. And I turn around, and I grab his backpack to hold on to him in case we, you know. And I said, okay, you say we need to leave, we leave. So we're walking out, and as we go back into that little room, he's looking down the hallway that went off to the right, and he starts taking pictures. And I said, and I pull him because I'm really nervous. He goes, Mom, he goes, I saw something. I wanted to take a picture. I'm like, okay, but I'm still holding this T-shirt because I don't want to let go. And he took a picture, and we exited the building. And Don was still there this time.
Yeah, imagine that.
But the phone started working again.
as soon as you leave,
Yes. But in the building, the phone would not work. And it's not like, it's not like my son goes, maybe it's because it's a metal roof. I said, but we were behind the building and it worked.
how big a structure is it? Is it an old house? Is it?
It's an old building that was a restaurant slash.
They used to hold like weddings, wedding receptions,
Yeah.
graduations, things like
There
that.
used to be an old hotel on the site.
Okay.
It's long gone.
All right. So, wow. So when you entered there this time,
Mhm.
not, if I understand you right, not only did you immediately lose your cell service, your phone couldn't get a signal, but also you had some kind of feeling. Did you get a headache again, or?
I did not get the nausea or the headache, but my son saw something behind us.
Okay, so he visually saw something.
He visually saw something.
And how would you describe, or how did he describe what he
He
saw?
wouldn't.
He didn't want to talk about it.
Mm-mm.
And did you ever see anything yourself?
No. When I was facing the hallway, I was looking at the stairs, and I could sense like there was something on the other side of the stairs. You know what I mean? There's
You
stairs
didn't
that
see
came
it,
down.
but you didn't see it, but you felt it.
Right. And so I had stopped walking. And that's when he said, I think we need to leave. And I didn't question him.
So when he said, "I think we need to leave," that when he saw something actually, where you sensed something, he saw something,
Right.
but he didn't want to describe it. He didn't want to talk about it. He just wanted to leave.
Right.
Yeah, he just wanted to.
He did take a picture, but he said nothing showed up on the picture.
So Don, you're in the car this whole time.
Yeah.
Were you watching? Were you watching the building as they go into it, and you paying attention what you can visually see? So you were kind of playing your security role, but not at the building, just sitting.
I'm the army. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a taser.
Yeah.
In watching, in either occasion at this building, when you're there, Don, did you ever get a sense or visually see like a different shade of lighting, a different anything?
No.
Nothing that would have got your attention. So the whole time you're an innocent bystander totally.
Yeah.
Celeste, I really don't know what that says about you.
Are you going to have me back on your show?
That is, I mean, really, that's very fascinating. I'm glad.
Yeah, we just kind of decided we needed to go back. I think I needed to go back, even though I didn't want to, just to give a sense of, I can face it.
Now, what state was this in?
State,
Where the,
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Oh, so yeah, is that where your residence is? Kentucky, your home base? Where are you guys from?
I got several different residences.
Okay, so I'm just curious. So if I came up and met y'all in Kentucky, would you take me there?
Yeah, we'd take you there.
We actually have been talking about maybe doing some guided tours
Of that particular place?
Well, of different places, because we got,
Okay.
it's funny, we got, we was on your show last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I had people message me and say, hey, do y'all, because these other groups are doing the different Bigfoot things and all that stuff, and then I got talking to her about it, and we tossed it around.
We take you.
Just for your information, Kevin has been a tour guide.
Yeah.
For such paranormal, and haunted places and that kind of thing. So that I'd love to visit the place.
Oh, okay.
And I would do it without publicly disclosing exactly where it was. You know what I'm saying? So there
we
would be
don't
a horror
disclose exactly where things are.
So I would never give that up. I would just say, here's what you got. I wouldn't even start filming or anything until I got there.
Right.
But, yeah, I would love to do that sometime. If y'all are ever back in the area, let me know. And if you wouldn't mind,
No, heck no.
be awesome. Yeah.
We can go.
And there's also a lot of structures.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bigfoot structures in the area too.
Yeah. And Catherine and I both, I can speak for Catherine on this. We would love to be involved in some kind of thing, what you're talking about, because I'm at an age where I want to be. I'm not a couch potato. I don't watch TV. I don't hunt. I'm unlike Don. I don't even fish. I like deep sea fishing, but the point is, I like these adventures.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like to know more about life.
We love them too, man. I mean, we have a ball. I think people they get too carried away, and like I say, the pursuing the Bigfoot money pie. You know what I'm saying? And I think that people like if they would just kick back, relax a little bit, and take everything in, and then, and enjoy their life.
Yeah.
Well, like today, I said earlier, we went to a battlefield,
Oh yeah, it was cool. I've never been to this one before.
Yeah, and we just had a good time. We weren't there looking for anything in particular. We were just having.
Was this a Civil War battlefield?
Yeah.
In West
I'm a big
Tennessee?
Civil War buff. I had my
See,
family on
have
both
you-
sides of my family fought for the South, and
Have y'all
one fought
have y'all
with the
ever
Bradford
investigated
Force.
down in Alabama?
Do what?
Have y'all ever investigated down in Alabama?
I never have.
Mm-mm.
Y'all got to get down here. We can show you some stuff.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
Interesting.
That'd be a nice.
it would be. Yeah.
And
Well,
civil.
we okay. We northern Alabama, Tennessee borderline. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, you did say we were in Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go.
But not-
We don't like to disclose where we've been.
No, I understand. I'm the same way. If I
Oh,
found
well,
it, if I already
Well-
know, if you put anything out there on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, it's like, hey, we went to 4965 Main Street and caught this. Within 24 hours, there's going to be every ghost hunting group in Alabama
Oh,
going to
I know.
this place. So you can't put it out there because you get all kind of idiots, and somebody's going to put graffiti there and break glass, and the
All
routine.
kinds of crazy stuff. Devil worshippers and everything else be falling out there.
Well, and that's why last week when we talked about some of the structures being destroyed, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I don't know if humans did it or if the Bigfoots did it, but it was heartbreaking to see. And that's why we don't. If these are indigenous people, then their structures should be considered artwork. If they are.
Have y'all ever used game cams, set them up in a location?
Do what now?
Yeah, they don't work.
They don't. I'm just
Oh,
curious.
cell
Some
cams?
game cams, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
took 2 pictures.
I have a friend that is a retired police officer that was a video film forensic expert, and he can't explain some of the stuff that we come up with. And like a while back, we have a picture of a see-through man in our camp that was taken by a pro cam.
That's
And-
see-through.
This one location is just an incredible Bigfoot location. And
Well, you're not talking about Bigfoot. You're talking about a see-through man.
Yeah.
And this was just not too far from our tent, and but it showed up on the pro cam. And so anyway, I took it to my buddy. I says, "Man, is this what I think it is, or is it just an anomaly, or what?" And anyway, he checked it out, and he calls me back. He says, "Don," he says, "What?" He goes, "Man, what in the hell are you people into?" And but he's totally befuddled about some of the things that we've taken pictures of. And then, like, we have several forest rangers that I work. One in particular I really work with a lot, and that we share intel with, and back and forth. And this guy's pretty high up in the Forestry Service, and he's gotten me in touch with several other people that's in the Forestry Service, and those people are the ones I really want to get to know and work with, because it's just because they realize what's going on. You know what I'm saying? They've seen things themselves, and they have to keep a very close lip on things. They have to, they're not really allowed to talk about it amongst themselves.
Well, it's the same thing with airline pilots and seeing UFOs.
Right.
Because they'll lose their job or be called crazy or whatever,
Well, the funny thing about that is, one particular place we went to, 1 week. One week, the woman that works there leans in and says, "Let us know if you see anything interesting." we go back 3 weeks later, and it's a different woman working there, and we're like, "Have you
Wow.
had any more sightings?" And she's like, "Of," and we're like, "Bigfoot?" And she's like, "Oh no, I don't believe in Bigfoot, but the paranormal. Oh, here we go. You'll talk about the paranormal, but you won't talk about Bigfoot." But the other woman would talk about Bigfoot. Forestry people.
So,
They-
Don, I want to start with you first. In all the years you've done this, all the things you've seen and experienced, I'm not talking about Celeste Paranormal and her experiences. I'm talking about Bigfoot, solely Bigfoot. I know that I feel you probably laid wide awake at night in your bed with lights out, and your mind is going over the things that you've seen and experienced out there. And you have got to have come up with some kind of theories about this whole thing. If you were to categorize Bigfoot, what category would you put? Not cryptid, but you got humans, you got apes, so I know Celeste suggested earlier some kind of indigenous human. Do you agree with that, or you have your own theory?
I agree. Yeah, 100%. I believe that
So
Bigfoot is some kind of primitive human.
So you think that Bigfoot is a older part of us? Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Early part of the human. And they're still out there. They're in the woods, and clearly they're smarter than us because they're not destroying the earth and they're living off the land. And I hadn't seen any wars started by Bigfoot either.
Well, they don't need fire. They have no use of fire. They don't. Man, to me, they're just incredible. I mean, I just I have nothing but admiration for them. I mean, to me, they're the ultimate survival expert. They are just I can't even describe how I really feel about them. I think they should be protected. I've actually had so-called Bigfoot people all offer me thousands of dollars to take them to a Bigfoot tribal location, and I had one guy actually tell me that they wanted to kill one, and I'm like, my God, man,
Yeah.
and I turned down 3 different people over the past several years that offered me anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. And
excuse me. So out of all and you've heard all kind of theories about Bigfoot, but your experience leads you to the indigenous form of a human being out there. In other words, the original human. Is that a safe bet?
I think that they're giant humans. Go ahead.
I'm
asking. I'm not telling. I'm asking.
I don't think they're the original human. I think everything was created according to its kind. So they are humanoid, definitely. They have family units. They care for their family. They hunt together. We've found where they do deer runs. They plan out what they're going to do, and we've heard them kill coyotes.
So unlike a lot of Bigfoot, I'll say enthusiasts, because I don't think all of them are serious researchers, but it's been widely suggested that they don't eat meat. They're vegetarian.
That's why.
You two, I know, really the first ones I've heard that publicly said, no, they eat meat.
That's one of the first things that I found out the first few months.
They eat fish.
Yeah, they eat fish. Yeah, but the first few months that I got involved in this thing was, of course, all the Bigfoot shows and everything you see on TV and reading the old books and everything was that they were herbivores and they lived off grubs and worms and crawfish and fruit.
If they have to, but they don't always.
Yeah. And all this sort of business, and what we was finding out was that, hey, there's a lot of evidence here that, because we were finding like funnel areas, kill zones, where you could tell that these, because you put two and two together, you put the Bigfoot tracks, the ambush areas,
and they create ambush areas.
Yeah, they sure do.
We found blinds that they made that they can sit behind.
Yeah.
And ambush.
And rock piles.
Okay.
Mounds.
And you also brought up earlier, you found a deer that had been cut in half, and no blood, no.
That's not Bigfoot.
We don't think
related.
that was a Bigfoot. We don't know what that was.
Something that was cauterized. There was no blood.
Yeah, you've heard of these cows and whatnot that they find in similar circumstances, I'm sure.
Right.
And
no insects were flying around. There's no flies, no vultures, no crows.
No
predators.
Nothing.
Nothing was.
We even went back and checked it.
Yeah. Nothing had touched the carcass.
What do you think about that, Kevin?
I'm thinking UFO.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like a deer. Although I did find there's some strange hunters out there do some strange things. Before I moved from that neighborhood in Westover to here, one afternoon, broad daylight, I was in the kitchen. I heard my neighbor next door. He hadn't been living there long, but long enough for me to realize he was kind of off the beam a little bit. One time I came home and his car had slid down the driveway and he was chasing after it. And he just do some weird things. And but I had this funny little dog, and he had a wooden fence around his yard. And that dog would stay back there. He never let it out in front, but somehow that dog was in my backyard yipping. And I hear him calling, and I look up, and the dog is wrestling with something and sniffing at it like he's happy to find something. Finally, he takes off, and I'm like, I wonder what he was doing out there. And I see something in the grass there, and it's sitting but 5-6 feet away from my patio and my kitchen window where I'm looking out. So I go out there, and there is the upper half of a rabbit laying there in the grass. And it's not bloody, gutsy like a dog just tore it in half. This thing looks like somebody perfectly slit it down the middle. Here's the head and the legs, and here's the back and legs and the butt. But all I've got is the upper part, the head and the front legs. And it looked carterized. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, where the hell did this come from? And I'd never seen anything like this until that neighbor moved next door. And I got to wondering, is this something his dog may have got loose and dragged it out of the house? And I just picked it up, took it out to the woods to dispose of it. I didn't want to go over and talk to him. And but it was weird. It looked like there was no blood. I mean, it was perfectly cut in half. Even the whatever backbone there was just perfectly. I thought, did he do this? And his dog.
We got us hit with a lightsaber.
Yeah. What the hell? Is he an alien?
Yeah.
He didn't know how to park a car. He was unusual. He would.
When did this happen, Kevin?
This was about probably somewhere during that year before I moved, so 2019.
So it was at the old house.
Yeah, the Westover house.
And you got to understand that compared to where he lives now, he's got some acreage where he is now.
Yeah, I've got space.
Where he lived before was like these little garden homes.
Before, the space was like this between my house and his. It was these house, suburbs.
Yeah. I used to tell him that the reason he moved was because he had collected so many haunted dolls. Now I know why he really moved.
But the other thing that was strange around that time is I came home, I was gone. It was weird that I found that rabbit, it was weeks later, but I came home from being away at one of those conventions one weekend, and this might have been in 2018, the year before. I come home and there's these weird designs in my yard that I've never seen in my life.
Crop circle in your front yard?
Well, it was some kind of liquid. I thought somebody had gone out there and spray painted my lawn. I said, what the hell is this? And it was a zigzag line that went into a circle, a perfect circle in the backyard. And part of me wanted to think, hey, a UFO landed back here while I was gone. But it wasn't a crop circle burned into the grass. It was like somebody had sprayed something. So my first logical thought was somebody's graffitied out here. So I started talking to neighbors. Did y'all see anybody while I was gone messing around my house and spray painting my lawn? And they came out and looked, and they didn't know what the hell that was. And they hadn't seen anything. So just to have some kind of report, I called the police, and they, cop came out there and he looked at it. And he said, I don't know what this crap is. Looks like some kind of fungus or bacteria. I don't know. He said, this is not paint. It was like a blackish purple color.
Ooh.
And I still to this day don't know what the crap that was. But after a few days, as the grass was growing back and then it rained, it went away. It disappeared. And so I don't know what that was.
Little background here, guys. Kevin and I went out through that convention I was talking about, 2019. And then we decided to start doing this show together. And we used to meet at my office over in Shelby, Columbiana. And then we started Zoom and, doing it this way. I just want to explain to you now, you may understand why we do it this way, because I'm not sure.
What part of Alabama y'all from?
Just south of Birmingham by 30 minutes or so.
Central Alabama. Okay. But I wanted to say too, around that same time that strange crap appeared in my grass is when I had that what I think might have been a Bigfoot encounter right in my backyard. Yeah, I think y'all were lost in the vortex when I shared my story last week.
You know what? We heard you. Yeah.
Oh.
We could hear some of the conversation, but we couldn't answer. But yeah, I would think if you felt like what you saying you felt when you're out there, it was probably a Bigfoot.
And the sound it was making, it was like it was, whatever it was tall, because it was coming from up here, like his head was up here, and you could hear, woo, woo, But I never felt like it was about to attack me. It's I felt like whatever it was as stunned to see me as I was to know it was there.
If you could have seen it, because bears will huff at you 3 times to warn you to get away if they're up a tree. But Bigfoot sounds much different than a bear. I mean, and they all have different sounds. They all, just like our voices are unique, so are theirs. I mean, there's a singing one in Kentucky.
I always tell people that, when they're out there howling, for the Bigfoot, they're out there yelling, screaming. If they ever heard a Bigfoot howl, they would know that they and their buddies don't sound anything like one. I mean, come on.
And you don't know what you're saying.
And this thing I heard, but it didn't just do it 3 times. It was like just
they make all kinds. They could even pronounce 1-syllable words.
There's a guy out there. Speaking of that, there's a guy out there that has some YouTube videos that claims that he has simple conversations with him, and he's got it on video. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
and there's one weird one that telepathically he thinks he speaks to them, and he does the writing, the auto writing, and I'm like, no, thank you.
But about when your original question about what do I think a Bigfoot is, I think that there's some kind of a primitive human, but they have incredible skills or powers or whatever you want to call them.
If she calls them indigenous and you're saying primitive human, then I have to assume that
I think they've been here for thousands of years.
Yeah, so they're older than humans.
I don't think so.
You don't think they're older than humans? Well, the only reason I say that is because if they've got all these skills, well, I guess the other way to look at it would be that we created these civilizations and lost skills. And they stayed where they were and retained their skills and improved upon them.
I had a little theory, and I don't know if that I wondered when I was younger and reading about Bigfoot. And I've always had a fascination with werewolves. I even keep a book here near my desk. So when you mentioned werewolves earlier, I was getting. But I wondered, one theory I had, and I don't know, now if I would still wonder about it, but is the reason people don't see it, they don't see Bigfoot like they would see squirrels, deers, and everything else. Therefore, they don't really believe it's there. But I always wondered, is it some sort of werebeast? Maybe the reason we don't see it is that it can turn into a human. Maybe it's a human that transforms like a werewolf. But I don't know now.
Like a skinwalker or something.
Yeah, skinwalker.
Yeah.
Well, I know they can imitate stumps really well.
What?
They can imitate stumps really well.
They get real still in those
yeah.
videos.
I've heard that more than once,
Yeah.
I've seen some videos where people captured that say it was Bigfoot, where you see something standing in the trees. They're really still. If you didn't look close enough to see the fur, you would think it was just a part of the tree.
Well, what I had out back in my yard stood very still while I was looking at it. It didn't move.
Yeah.
And then eventually it left. But they'd they'd win a game of freeze tag.
So where do you go from here? What's your next move?
Keep doing what we're doing, and we're I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and we don't see no reason to stop. And
we have been taking these 2 weeks a little bit of a break of going in the woods and whatnot, because I kind of need to digest what happened.
Yeah, we've been traveling around, just having a good time, checking out a lot of historical places and things. But we're going to get right back into the Bigfoot cryptid world very soon. And
we went to some, really neat places the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to work this week, so I'll be.
Well, if you guys ever end up down this way, I'd be glad to host your visit.
Yeah.
But you guys can come up and see us too. How about that?
Well, and after all this, I'd like to talk about going up to Kentucky to that place. And I don't know if Catherine disappeared there, but I think we'd both be interested in being somewhat involved in guided tours or whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
I ain't been neat.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know you're not after money, but you'd want to cover your expenses anyway, and anything would help along your research. But what kind of numbers, if you were to take, and you've got a team besides Celeste, it's more than just the two of you said.
Yeah.
Do you do it? Are you familiar with MUFON?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have people in different parts of the country, and they just notify you if they see something, and y'all kind of team up at that?
Yeah, I got there's one couple in particular, Tim and Maggie. They're all over the map.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was also aware of that this week.
They're everywhere.
So it's not like you're all out there in the field together, but
no,
I guess
no, there's too many of us. The thing is we're kind of a loose knit. Like I say, we all know each other, best of friends. And some of these people I've known for 26, 27, 28 years. And
so
good dependent. Some of them worked for me at one time.
I got you.
And, they're just very good, very, very, like I say, very experienced outdoorsmen, outdoors ladies, just very, I trust them, and they're, we fund our own research. We don't beg, borrow, or steal from anybody or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. We have fun doing it, and we got some plans. We got several locations that we're definitely going to go to. We got see what we do. We go to places that we've been before that are awesome places, and then we look at this and that, and we weigh, what we found out about possible locations, and then we'll check those out. But we got a few places that we're going to go to that we've already planned on, and
we've actually this week we were talking about going to New York.
Yeah.
There's if you know where Coleman, Alabama is.
Where what is?
Coleman,
Alabama.
No.
It's right off of Interstate 65, maybe 130 miles south of Nashville.
Okay.
there's a guy that owns a piece of property that is Civil War property that the state never took over. Okay.
Hmm.
And he's got almost like a little bitty B&B, whatever, a little place you can stay. He's got a museum there, and I've actually done a wedding there. But there's some interesting things that take place there, and it to me would be prime Bigfoot territory where he's located.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm saying if you get down this area and you want to be hosted and shown around some interesting places, that
Yeah.
place brought to mind because you're also a Civil War buff.
Right.
And, yeah. And then of course old cemeteries. Kevin, you remember that fraternal cemetery that
Yeah.
we were going to take him to it like a couple of years ago, but it was like 100 degrees outside and we decided against it. So did you notice, Kevin, that they found a car that somebody parked and burned up a body in it out there?
Yeah, my brother was talking about that
In the
this last
cemetery?
week, talking about that, and then he did inform me that is the cemetery we used to call Catholic Hill.
Okay.
When I was growing up, it was Catholic Hill, and they talk about Satanists would go out there and put dead cats on the tombstones or something, all kinds of.
I don't care. It'd be broad daylight at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's eerie as hell.
Yeah.
It is really, if you want goosebumps, and since I'm telling you this because Celeste is so much into the paranormal.
Well, we travel. I took her to a cemetery she'd never been to before, and she don't like to talk about ghosts or nothing like that. But that cemetery.
Dolls.
I will never own a doll. I will never own a doll. They're not allowed in my house.
The good news is at this cemetery, there's a lot of trees you can talk to. Okay.
Okay, good. I'll go talk to the trees.
Is it true that Bigfoot hangs out in cemeteries?
Yeah, the thing, one thing I touched on this cemetery a little bit is Eastern Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky. It's goes back to 1844. It used to be a slave cemetery. Later on, other Kentuckians were buried there, and then later on, still there was a lot of people. Like it's like turned in more into a potter's field. The cemetery is only 22 acres, can actually hold about 16,000 burials, but there's actually 138,000 people buried there. And what they did was they buried them, 3, 4, 5 at a time, up on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, it's a very, 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 very. A lot of people say it's the most haunted cemetery in the state of Kentucky. But it's anyway. But it's pretty wild.
That fraternal cemetery that he's calling the Catholic cemetery is north of Birmingham. But as we're talking, again, you like the Civil War era and whatnot.
Right.
We go south. I'm sure you've heard of Selma, Alabama.
Yeah.
Selma.
Okay, so outside of Selma, Alabama is a ghost town called Old Cahaba. And it used to be the state capital for a short period of time. And there is, out in the woods, away from everything, is an old slave cemetery out there. Just tuning into some things Don would be interested in. We've had some haunting experience out there. And again, this is look at her.
If you don't want to see ghosts, don't come around me.
We've seen, I'll tell you.
I don't have to go anywhere to see them. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's her problem. Yeah.
Celeste, what's behind you, Celeste?
The shadow.
I wouldn't be surprised if a hand came through that window.
Oh, look, the shadow man is right behind her.
Yeah.
Moves like she moves.
It's okay. My dog's sound asleep, so I know I'm good.
But yeah, I've gone to Gulf Shores many a time. I've gone down and all that. And
I've been to Huntsville lots of times. I've been to the space.
I grew up in Athens, which is right down the street from Huntsville there.
Yeah.
So
And I'm familiar with, driving through Alabama and being here and there.
But I have always wanted to check out those dismal caves. Or
oh, you
canyons.
love Dismal Canyons
Yeah.
any time of day. It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, y'all
Fascinating.
far from there?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
But we're going. I was not going to work. July and August, I've taken off. I'm not going to take any weddings. I'm doing nothing. July did not happen that way. I stayed busy the whole month. So I thought, oh, August, I'm going to take off.
Yeah.
And so the first thing this week is somebody said, we'll get you 2 nights in a motel room and pay you to come down to Florida on the beach and marry us. So what am I going to do? Gotta go.
Gotta go.
They gotta go. But sincerely, if you guys ever get down here, and likewise, we'll hook up with you guys,
Yeah.
and I'll be
We'd
glad to
love
give you I'll message you my phone number and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we really enjoyed doing the show.
well, I tell you, I think that we could do this another 2 hours and still tell stories that you hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
But y'all are fascinating people. I like people like you. And Celeste, you're a fascinating woman because you claim you don't like the paranormal, but it's all over you.
That's because of my history.
Yeah, and then the tree responding to you, that was, yeah. But I will say again that I don't think Don had the experience. I think you and your son had the experience.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way.
Yeah, when I listen to the whole story and I think about it, it's like, I don't know. Y'all were, Don, you had the headache. You're the one that walked into the building. And I think it took you a minute to get out of that vortex or whatever.
I think we actually didn't get out of it until we went down around the building, and I actually prayed.
I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to pray for Don for being with you.
Well, I told him way back, hanging with me is not for the faint of heart.
She wasn't kidding.
But clearly Don is an adventuresome soul because he hadn't run from you yet.
Well, he ran a couple times.
Or did he?
You saw him in the video. I've got proof.
You taped him running away from you?
Yeah, in that video with the tree. You saw him.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I said, I hope not.
But Don, that was not hardcore like the other stuff.
Don, why were you so scared of the tree?
Who, me? Well, I just don't like trees grabbing hold of me and such. You know what I'm saying? I'm funny about stuff like that.
Don, I watched it. It wasn't grabbing. It was just a sweet caress.
I did this investigation. I don't know how long ago it was, and I was at somebody's property, and there's kind of like a ravine that goes down, and there was kind of a new hole that appeared at the bottom of that ravine, and and I told the owner, I said, don't put your hand down there, and it's just as I was saying it, he stuck his hand down the hole, and I'm like, yeah. So we have to come back up the ravine, and as we come up the ravine, I think I told Don this, I literally got attacked by like a briar. I don't know, a briar something. It like wrapped around my head, and I had the briar sticks in my ear, all around my forehead. It was like his wife had to come out. He cut it off so I could move because I couldn't move. I was stuck in it, like wrapped around my head, and it was like a vine. And so the husband cut it off, and he's like, "Go see my wife," because he's like, "I'm done with you. Off with you." And so his wife had to like free me from it. So that's like the first time I've been attacked by a plant. I've never been attacked.
Well, we have been at this for 2 hours. Can you believe that?
Oh wow.
Yep.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, I enjoy. I don't know about those two, but I really enjoy it.
Yes.
I enjoyed you guys.
Speak for themselves.
Well, we'll set up a time for you guys to come up, and we'll take you to that place.
I would love it.
And,
And then I'll be glad if I got buy y'all dinner. Okay.
I'd like
Yeah.
to. I'm gonna go by myself. Tell you the truth.
It may be at Crystal Hamburgers, but I'll still buy it. Oh me,
We
folks,
appreciate
we're gonna be back next weekend at 7 p.m. We've been doing this for 4 years, unbelievable, and we keep doing it for some crazy, strange reason. And part of it is because we meet these wonderful people like this. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't go away when I end this. We'll have a minute. We can talk to each other privately if you'd like.
Okay.
And but thank you all for being on, and everybody remember, and you guys remember that you can find this archived on YouTube and whatnot. So if you want to share it on your website and that sort of thing, feel free to. Just get it out there. This show is about you guys, even though we told a couple of stories. So,
Oh, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us.
so we're going to say good night to our friendly listeners and watchers, and we'll see you next week.